You can bring us in whenever, Craig.
All right, let's do it. Top of the ninth, Emilio Pagan in for the Reds, looking to pick up the close. Reds lead 2-1. Nick Lodolo with a phenomenal start, leaves early. We'll talk about that. Pirates coming up to the plate in the top of the ninth. Nick Gonzalez, Brian Reynolds, and Andrew McCutchen. 0 for 3, 1 for 3, 0 for 3 on the day. Pagan looking to shut it down. First pitch on the outside corner for a strike looking. Nick, how we doing?
Doing fantastic.
Uh-oh. What is happening? There we go.
I don't know. Trying to get that score bug on there. They spent 3 hours trying to figure out how to get, and now can't get on there.
Gonzalez sends it to right field. Marte is under it and has it for the first out of the ninth. About an hour and 20-minute delay before first pitch on this one, so a little bit behind schedule, but hope everyone's having a great Thursday. I'll bring up Brian Reynolds. Reynolds seemingly has career numbers against the Reds. 1 for 3 today with a single.
Hey, there we go.
Hey, we got it. Dodgers lead the Diamondbacks 4-0 in the top of the third. Reds lead the Pirates 2-1. As that ball is up and out to Reynolds. 2-0 now from Pagan.
All right.
Now we good, Nick? Now
We're good.
good.
We're good. Oh my God! Oh my God!
You're ahead of me. Well, let's see what happens. Brian Reynolds sends this deep to right field. And based on Nick's reaction, Noelvi Marte is going to bring this one back in. And he does! Wow. Pagan in disbelief. Marte celebrating with TJ Friedel. He got to the wall, got under it, jumped. The ball was a little bit behind him. His glove had to go up and back. And Marte grabbed that ball. It must have been 2 feet over the wall. He has hops on that one. There, show it again. Jumps. And yeah, that ball would have easily cleared had Marte not brought it back in. Love it. Immediately, as soon as he catches it, the look on his face.
Let's go!
Immediately runs for TJ Friedel.
Go, Craig! To the show! Get MLB TV, Craig. Come on!
I'm on MLB. I'm on FanDuel. Marte. All 3 outs in the inning. 3 fly balls. 3 Marte outs. Reds win.
And a bench to bench. Change hit in the air to deep right field. Back goes Clemente. And the save. He's done. Get out of here, baseball. It's gone. Oh,
Cincinnati bench is tired it up. The Cincinnati Reds win the World Series in 4 straight. It was a sweep.
In the dirt, it's a wild pitch. Here comes Walker. The Reds win the pennant.
Perkins won the game.
That ball is fair. Cincinnati's ahead. 2 games to none.
Welcome Joe Aranda to Cincinnati. Adam Dunn has done it again. Benzinger backing and calling. And the 1990 World Championship belongs to the Cincinnati Reds.
Marty, yes. This is Adam from Milwaukee. Hey, Adam, how you doing? I'm good. How are you? Good. Do you think Scott Chatterbox is a good player?
Dunn up there with the bases loaded, the outfield deep and around toward right, to the 1-0 on the way to the plate. Swung on, long drive, right field, and this one belongs to the Reds.
And a high drive. Hit back into deep right field. Junior has just knocked the door down to the 500 club.
Benson's first home run is a walk-off winner. That ball had a family.
And De La Cruz is, oh my goodness, look at this kid run. My, oh my, that is a triple.
Matt McClain's first big league bomb.
Spencer Steer's first big league hit is a home run to straightaway center field. Joey Votto's done it again.
The pitch. Votto swings high in the air. Right field. Yes! He pointed to the dugout to say, I told you. That is Joey Votto's 315th career go-ahead ribby. Only Johnny Bench had more as a Red.
And I can't tell you how much it means to play in front of everyone here in Cincinnati as a Red. What a gift. What a tremendous gift. So thank you. Thank you.
I think I can speak for all of Reds country. Joey Votto, thank you.
High drive. Left center field. Racing back to the Laurent Bourgeois. The Reds are National League Central Division champions. In the air, left center field. Did he? Did he? He did. He did. Reds win. Reds win. Line to the right field. Genius, the first Red ever. With 4 home runs in a game. Can you believe it? In the air, down the right field line. Does it have a chance? The Reds have won on a 3-run home run on opening day by Ramon Hernandez. A strike away and out away is Homer Bailey. Ground ball to third. Frazier gloves. Throw to first, and Homer Bailey, for the second time in his major league career, has tossed a no-hitter. Oh, gosh. Oh, my God. Are you kidding me? Holy Moses, the second player in major league history to hit 7 home runs in the first 10 games. In the air, and the Reds win. What a dream beginning to the career of Jay Bruce.
All right, Nick. Reds win 2-1. Let's first of all fix the J bar. That is a final score, ladies and gentlemen. Final score. Look, Nick, first of all, I want to address the elephant in the room because you went Hulk mode there. You are super pumped up, not only about the Noelvi Marte catch, but then even when it went final, you yelled at me and told me get MLB ticket. I'm in the Reds viewing area, my friend. I can't even turn it on if I wanted to. I have MLB
I'm sorry.
ticket.
I was emotional, Craig. I was emotional. This is playoff baseball.
This is as close to playoff baseball as the Reds have had in a long, long time. Obviously frustrating the last 2 nights that they haven't been able to get it done against the Pirates, but the Reds do in fact salvage the series, or at least a win in the series, I should say. They win today 2-1 behind an absolute gem from Nick Lodolo. And obviously, as you may have heard on that introduction there, a phenomenal play in right field from Noelvi Marte to rob Brian Reynolds of a game-tying home run in the top of the 9th. We'll talk about all that, and I'm sure much, much more But Nick, your immediate reactions to today's game and getting this much needed win over the Pirates?
The Reds are alive into the final weekend. No matter what happens tonight, the Reds are alive. And for most of the year, that felt like a pipe dream. And, man, Noelvi Marte just made one of the most heroic plays you'll ever see in a ninth inning of a game. One of those plays where you watch the replay and it looks even more impressive than what you saw in real time, just how far he got up. Nick Lodolo, obviously he'll be a big point of discussion, but also just absolutely put the Reds on his back, maybe gave the Reds his back. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, you're alive. I mean, you're alive, and all the pressure is on the New York Mets. The pressure was on the Reds at 12:40. It ended up being at 2:00. It's all shifted. It is all at Wrigley Field. It is all in the New York Mets dugout. They have a $340 million payroll, and they got the Cincinnati Reds staring them dead in the eye. And you better win tonight. You better win tonight, Mets, because you don't want to get into this weekend and have the Reds behind you.
Absolutely. Mets and Cubs will have first pitch at 7:40 tonight. That one is scheduled to be on MLB Network, so you can tune in whether you have MLB ticket or not, and certainly encourage you to do that. And Chatterbox Reds is working on potential coverage for that should it go the Reds' way, and figuring out what that'll look like. And obviously make sure you subscribe to this channel if you aren't already. Follow us on all the social media channels. We'll be sure to update you with plans if they do come to fruition, as always. And we appreciate your support along the way. Look, Nick, we'll get into the box score recap in just a minute, but I think there's a lot more to talk about from this game than maybe we can cover in a single J-bar. But, I mean, at the end of the day, the Reds bounced back from two what could have been very deflating losses over the last 2 days. Hunter Green shoves last night. They end up going to extra innings and can't close it out. And they bounce back and get ultimately what this team has had almost all season long. Starting pitching being the story, being able to keep this Reds offense in a game despite only scoring 2 runs. We'll talk about all that and more, but first let's get into the box score recap, as always, presented by my good friend Nicholas P. Kirby.
All right, Reds taking on the Pittsburgh Pirates. Reds trying to avoid getting swept by the Pirates for the first time since 2022. Nick Lodolo on the mound against Braxton Ashcraft. The Reds got runners on base in the first, second, third, and fourth innings against Braxton Ashcraft, but could not bring anyone home. Then in the bottom of the fifth, Brian Hayes reached base on an infield single. TJ Friedel smoked a double, but Hayes was thrown out at the plate. He was originally ruled safe, but the replay overturned the call. The next batter, Noelvi Marte, singled, and it was another aggressive send home, but a bad throw by Pirates shortstop Nick Gonzalez made no play at the plate. 1-0 Reds. Gavin Lux then singled to make it 2-0 Reds. Nick Lodolo was absolutely untouchable. Lodolo goes 6 1/3 innings, 2 hits, 0 runs, 1 walk, 12 strikeouts. Lodolo only was at 81 pitches but had to leave the game. Reds officially say he exited the game as a precaution with a right groin injury. We will certainly be monitoring that, but nonetheless, a heroic start from Nick Lodolo when the Reds needed it most. Graham Ashcraft came in, to his credit, was not even warming up, but came in, got both batters out to get the Reds out of the 7th. Tony Santillan would give up a run in the 8th to make it 2-1, and more dicey in the 9th for Emilio Pagan, and Pagan gave up 3 fly balls to right field. One of them looked like a for sure home run off the bat, but Noelvi Marte made the catch of the year for the Cincinnati Reds, robbing a home run. Reds hang on to win 2-1. Reds will now finish the year at least 500. That's win number 81. Reds now 81-78, and the Reds currently a half game behind the New York Mets, who play later tonight. A Mets loss would put the Reds into a playoff spot with 3 games to play.
And we do, as always, have a deep drive of the game. Today's deep drive of the game, no home runs, but deep drive of the game nonetheless. TJ Friedel with his line drive double to center field. Ke'Bryan Hayes gunned out at the plate, though. We will talk about that send later on in the show. Exit velo 101.5, 367 feet at a launch angle of 20 degrees. Score stood at 0-0, though, in the bottom of the fifth at that point. Didn't stand that way for long, though. Cincinnati win probability at the time, 59.3%, an actually decrease of 2%. As always, DSC is a leader in renewable commodities for biofuel production, specializing in used cooking oil, collection, aggregation, and sales. Visit www.deepsouthcommodities.com for more information. Thanks, as always, to our friends at DSC. All right, Nick, look, over the last 9 games, the Reds pitching has allowed 21 total runs, 2.33 runs per game. Reds pitching has been red hot, Nick. And you know what else is red hot? Omaha Steaks.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I tell you what I'm doing after we get off this stream. I'm firing up my grill. I'm getting some of those Omaha steaks that I have. I got a few left in the freezer. The absolute best for grilling season. Nice to be stocked up. I've talked with Trace. I love the gourmet hot dogs. That's my favorite. Craig, have you got to try anything yet?
Yeah, so last night the game went to extras, which saved me because I was actually in the middle of cooking dinner as the game was progressing and it was going faster than I was anticipating. But I think I told you guys before I did the build your own protein pack thing that that Omaha Steaks does. And I had in that pack, I had bacon and I had bacon wrapped filet. So last night I took the bacon, rendered it down, used the bacon fat to make some Brussels sprouts along with the bacon wrapped fillets. Chef's kiss, delicious all around. And I still have some bacon left for breakfast this weekend. So it was great.
Fantastic. Well, you too can join in with us and get some Omaha Steaks. Get fired up for fall grilling with Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com for 50% off site-wide during their Red Hot Sale event. And for an extra $35 off, use our promo code Chatterbox at checkout. That's 50% off at omahasteaks.com and an extra $35 off on top of that with promo code Chatterbox at checkout. See site for details.
All right, Nick, the starting pitching was, in fact, the story of this one yet again. Nick Lodolo unfortunately left early, but didn't leave without making his mark on this game. 6 1/3 innings pitched, 2 hits, no runs, 1 walk, and struck out a career-best 12 batters, and did so in leaving early with what the Reds are calling a precautionary move due to a potential groin injury. Obviously, it's tough. You want to start with the injury conversation, or you want to start with just how dominant Nick Lodolo was? Because I don't want to underplay that. Like, I think there's a lot of people that will immediately start to talk about Lodolo and his injury history. But the truth of the matter is that he showed yet again that he can be an ace for this ball club and be a top of the rotation starter. Him and Hunter Green have shoved all year long, and now he's set up for a playoff start if the Reds are able to make it, if he's healthy.
Well, yeah, he started talking about how Lodolo dominated this game because it doesn't matter if Nick Lodolo is healthy next week if the Reds lose this game. I mean, it's not absolutely a must-win, but it's really hard to see the Reds having any sort of realistic chance if they lose this game. The offense only scored 2 runs, so Lodolo had to absolutely dominate inning after inning, and the Reds didn't even score till the 5th inning either. So, it was just an incredible performance from Nick Lodolo. Lodolo had been struggling a little bit, too, coming into this game. I think he had allowed 4 runs in 4 of his 5 starts since coming back off the IL. So this was just as impressive a performance as you ever can. Yes, I know the Pirates' offense absolutely sucks, but, there's a lot of pressure in this start, and he absolutely delivered, and we have to just hope it's actually precautionary. I know there's probably some people that say, just push him through it. I mean, look, if he's hurt and it's bothering him, you just go to the bullpen. You're not trying to have guys push through with a 2-run lead, and A, risk losing the game, B, risk injuring him worse. No, you had your guys set up, and Ashcraft deserves a lot of credit in this one, because that's a very tough spot to come in cold out of the bullpen, got 2 huge outs, didn't let that inning snowball. And, the way that Santillan and Pagan pitched, that him holding it was obviously very big.
Yeah, Nick Lodolo today, 27 swings and misses, which was incredible. And to your point, this Pirates offense is not phenomenal, but Nick Lodolo was using that to his advantage all day long. A majority of those swings and misses and a lot of his strikeouts came on balls that were out of the zone. And so for a guy who has had struggles with walks, to get an aggressive lineup like this from the Pittsburgh Pirates, to come out and to recognize it early enough on in the game that you take advantage of it throughout, that leads you to the ability to get 27 swings and misses. Now, if you're coming up and you're throwing those pitches and the offense isn't swinging at it, then you have to adjust your game plan. But he showed he was able to locate the curveball on the corner when he wanted to. He was able to dive it down and into right-handers like he has historically. He looked a little bit like the Lodolo of old that we always imagine in our heads when we think about ace Nick Lodolo. And for him to come out and get 27 swings and misses, which according to Joel Luckup is matches a Reds like high for the history of the franchise. Tyler Mahle did it back in 2018 against the Brewers. So, this 27 swings and misses is not something to shrug at. And again, to do that on only 81 pitches, Nick, I think if he doesn't come out with that injury, he's in line to push and try and compete for a complete game, or certainly at least get you through 8. But I think the conversation, and it's interesting because when it happened, first Trevino comes out, they're talking, and then Trevino calls for the trainer. It didn't seem like Terry or DJ or anyone else was even going to go out there. But Trevino saw something in Lodolo, saw him kind of flex the leg on the replay is what it looked like. He kind of picked up his right leg and flexed it a little bit, and it did turn out to be his right groin. But you just wonder what that conversation was, right? It's like, okay, Nick Lodolo is probably saying, look, I felt something. I'm okay. When I rotate, it gets tight a little bit, but I think I'm ready. Like, I'm okay. And they're probably like, well, look, we're at a point in this game now where we feel comfortable turning it over to the bullpen and then being able to hold it for you. We want to make sure you're healthy for the playoffs. Look, we've got a 2-0 lead at this point. Like, let's just get you out of this game. Let the bullpen bring it home for you. And let's make sure you're healthy if we get to the playoffs. And ultimately, I think that's probably the conversation that happened out there is, what exactly are you feeling? And, if so, how do we make sure that you're healthy for us down the stretch? Because we're going to need you.
If it was the second inning, it's a different conversation, right? But you were already into the 7th inning. I mean, there's just no point. There's the potential reward of pushing him at that point. It's so minuscule. You go to the bullpen, you keep him. It was a no-brainer decision in my opinion. And Lodolo, I just looked over, was being interviewed, was smiling in the post-game press conference. So I obviously not listening because I'm yapping here, but looked like a positive development. So we'll keep our fingers crossed. But again, if Nick Lodolo doesn't pitch like he does today, there's no playoffs anyway. So you know what? This is the kind of year where you give everything you got and worry about next week. Like that's worry about next week. If you happen to play the Dodgers on Tuesday with nothing left, oh my gosh, we're still playing playoff baseball. It is what it is. There's no point in even worrying about that unless you do everything you can to win as many of these games as you can this week.
Yeah, and you mentioned the bullpen, and Tony Santillan gives up that run in the 8th. And then Pagan comes in and nails it down. Graham Ashcraft, you mentioned coming in after that injury, probably not ready to come into the game, but it sounded as if that he was at least warming up at the time, which probably helped a little bit because he was at least prepared to come into the game if needed. They had him warming up, and I think they said Scott Barlow, but I might be mistaken.
Oh, they did have him warming up.
Warming up for someone, in case they needed him. But the truth of the matter is that even if you're warming up, to go from warming up and just kind of watching Nick Lodolo operate, right? Like, there's a difference in heating up quick because, hey, something's happening and things are going downhill, and kind of getting warmed up if you're needed. Like those are two different mindsets, at least from my perspective. And so, he goes from, all right, I'm here if we need it. All right, Nick's got the first out. All right, he's got a strike on the next batter. And then all of a sudden, oh shoot, I'm getting my name called. And he comes in and he shuts down the Pirates lineup and does it rather efficiently. Gets Tommy Pham to ground out, and then Joey Bart to strike out. Those are two big outs, and obviously Lodolo had struck out McCutchen, so you're probably thinking that he's still fresh and he's only at 81 pitches. I'm here just in case. To all of a sudden, all right, it's time to fire it up.
Yeah. And I mean,
as I watched the ticker go up, Dodgers now lead 8-0 on the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge. Just because we'll go through all the scenarios at the end, but I think the Diamondbacks have a chance to have a very favorable series this weekend because of the Padres preparing for Tuesday. So that is a huge development if the Reds could be essentially a game and a half ahead of the Diamondbacks at the end of the day today. I mean, I guess, Craig, the conversation turns to, like, how worried are we about Pagan? I mean, I don't know. It's been dicey. I mean, overall, he's found a way to get the job done, although I wouldn't really call today getting the job done. I think Noelvi Marte got the job done. Why were they interviewing Emilio Pagan in the post-game press conferences beyond me? Out of all the guys you could have picked, not the guy that should have blown the save. But whatever. I guess he gives good sound bites. But let's be a little more judicious there. But I mean, I guess the thing I would say is, like, if you get into a playoff type scenario, I mean, you're probably going to be pushing Burns a little bit more. Pagan would not be an automatic ninth inning guy for me in a playoff game right now. It might have to fall that way depending on how you use guys. But if I have Burns fresh, if I have Santillan fresh, and I know Santillan gave up a run today, they're clearly, in my opinion, ahead of Pagan on the pecking order. And then beyond that, I can make a case. I don't think I'm fully there yet. I can make a case I'd rather have Nick Martinez. Even ahead of Pagan. Nick Martinez as a reliever has been a very, very good pitcher, and I don't think he's gotten enough credit about what he's done as a reliever, not just this year, but last year and in 2023 before the Reds signed him when he was with San Diego. He was very dominant as a reliever. I'm not putting Connor Phillips ahead of him yet, even though I think Connor Phillips has better overall stuff because, like, he's so far. I still want to be very picky about my spots with Connor Phillips. But I don't know. What would your pecking order be? Ninth inning, you have let's say you go. Let's say
Is the question what's my pecking order, or what do I think Tito's pecking order
is?
Because I want two different answers. And let me throw this at you, Nick. Is I get your concern with Pagan, and obviously he gets saved by Noelvi Marte today. But that's now 8 straight outings of Emilio Pagan without allowing a run. He's gone 8 innings, given up 4 hits, only walked 2 during that time period. I understand that it's not pretty when it happens. He's given up only 4 hits during that time, and it's only 1 hit per outing.
Has he really been that good?
I get
That's crazy.
Yes.
Man, he doesn't feel that good. I believe you.
And the outing before that, he gave up 2 hits and a run to the Mets, but the night before he went an inning of no-hit baseball. So if you want to even go back before that, going back to his blow up against Toronto, which is I think what everybody sticks in their head, where he went a third of an inning, gave up 3 hits, 3 earned runs. Since that time, he's gone 10 innings, 6 hits, 1 run, only 2 walks, and 13 strikeouts during that stretch of 10 games now. So, I mean, I get your point, but I think that Emilio Pagan has been your guy all year long. And I'm not, at this point in the season, going to go to Tony Santillan, and as great as he sounds and as good as he looked in his save opportunity the other night, I'm not ready to rely on him in a playoff situation as a younger guy, or at least a less experienced guy, to come out there and put him in a situation where his first real high leverage opportunity, well, not high leverage opportunities, save opportunities are in the playoffs in Dodger Stadium. Like, I get what you're saying. It's not pretty with Emilio Pagan right now. And there are times where feels worse than it really is I think what it comes down to, because I think we go into it with that anxiety, right? Similar to how I feel when balls are hit to Ellie De La Cruz. Like there was a stretch there where every time Ellie got the ball, I just clinched up and felt nervous about where that ball was going. I think that's probably very similar to what people are thinking with Emilio Pagan. Like, you look at it, and he blew 3 saves in the course of like 2 weeks. You going back to middle of August, and you're like, oh man, Pagan is done for. But since that time, he's 4 for 4 in save opportunities, only given up 1 run. Like, I don't think that I'm ready to move off of that. Now, I agree with you. I think we got to keep an eye on him. See, maybe he has a shorter leash. Maybe we're. But the truth of the matter is that you're hoping not to only have 1-run leads, right? Like, I think the trouble is with this offense, most of the time these saves are high leverage situations. And for me to go out and put a guy like Tony Santillan into that situation at this point feels unfair to Santillan, which feels like something that Tito would say. Like that I just felt like Tito saying, oh, that's unfair to put a young guy in that situation. Like, the truth of the matter is that I truly believe that at this point in their careers and at this point in the season, I'm sticking with Pagan right now versus going with a guy in Tony Santillan with 168 total innings pitched in his career.
All right, you've talked me into it a little bit. I was doing a little bit of digging, looking at the, I like to look at StatCast numbers because it doesn't, your eyes can be deceitful. You know what? Pagan, since the All-Star break, actually has been one of the Reds' best pitchers in terms of expected stats. In terms of like expected weighted on-base average, and Tony Santillan's actually been pretty bad. So, but I will say this. I will say this. If I got to the 9th inning on Sunday or any game that is a must-win game, and I have everyone fresh in the bullpen, like let's say Brady Singer through 8 innings, everyone's fresh, I would pitch Chase Burns over Emilio Pagan, and I would not think twice about it. If Chase Burns, if my season ends with Chase Burns blowing a save, it ends. But the talent level is not even remotely close. I think you've convinced me Pagan should be ahead of Santillan, and I also think there's something to Pagan with rest. Today was pitching back-to-back. It definitely seems like he's been a lot more effective when he's had rest. So that also might be something you have to kind of factor in the playoffs if you make it to the playoffs. If you're in game, if it's game 3 and he had just pitched, 20 pitches in game 1 and 20 pitches in game 2, you might want to go with someone else because you've kind of seen that when he's had to go back-to-back games, he's really struggled. And to Tito's credit, he's really tried to shy away from that of late, which is probably, to your point, why he's been most effective. Because if you look at his game logs, there's not a whole lot of back-to-backs in there. There isn't. I don't think this is the first time he had pitched back-to-back since he gave up that run to the Mets. First time, that was September 5th through 6th. So that's another factor in this, but I would have Burns ahead of Pagan, and I would not think twice about it.
So on back-to-back outings, Emilio Pagan, 18 games he's gone back-to-back this year. Opponent batting average of 246, opponent OPS of 778. On one day rest, the opponent batting average drops down to 130 with an OPS of 491. Wow. So, yes, 100% to your point. When he goes back-to-back, at least seemingly, his numbers go up. His ERA on 0 days of rest, 5.40. On 1 day, 2.25. On 2 days, 2.84. On 3 days, 1.80. On 4 days, 2.08. Like, yes, the numbers are there that on back-to-back, those are the days that Emilio struggles the most. But again, in the playoffs, you're going to have back-to-backs. Like, you're going to have to figure it out. And maybe there's a situation, to your point, where Emilio goes 1 and Chase Burns or Santillan or somebody else gets called on for another in those situations. I don't remember who exactly we were talking about, but that was a situation we talked about with Graham Ashcraft, I believe, actually. It was me and Mike. Graham Ashcraft has very similar issues where when he comes in on no rest, he's not very effective. But when you give him a day or two of rest, he becomes ultimately much more effective. And so I'd certainly be looking at how Tito will utilize that this offseason. This postseason.
One quick point. I want to make sure I do make something very clear. Emilio Pagan has had an incredible season. Whether or not he craps the bed in the playoffs or I don't feel good about him right now or what else, he's had an incredible season and is a major reason why the Reds are still here. He was not supposed to be the closer. The closer was supposed to be Alexis Diaz, who fell off the face of planet Earth this year. So shout out to Emilio Pagan. But we're not in a season where we're now handing out playing time based on what you've accomplished. We're handing it on our best chance of staying alive. So I want to make sure that I'm very clear that Emilio Pagan deserves all the credit in the world. One of the Reds' MVPs of the season and what he did this year. I'm just going forward. I would definitely have Burns ahead of them. That's just my only point.
My only thing with that, Nick, and I think I texted you this. I actually love stacking Chase Burns with Zach Littell. Now the playoffs come, Zach Littell,
Zach Littell better not be starting.
If Zach Littell is starting a game in the playoffs, we're going to have another issue.
Well, you know what? Actually, it might be a great thing because that'd be like a game 4 situation.
Right. I didn't love bringing him in after Hunter or something like that. But even after like a Lodolo start or a Brady Singer start, I love going to that fireballer for a change of pace.
Yeah.
Now, if especially in a playoff scenario where if one of those guys can get you 4 or 5 innings, and then you can turn to Chase Burns to get you 2 innings to get you to that back end of your bullpen, I love that. And yes, I think that Chase Burns would excel as a closer. I think he's got stuff to do that. I still think his long-term projection is as a starter, but in this playoff run, he's not going to get a start. And so how do you use him best? That's what we have to figure out. For me personally, I love stacking him with someone like Brady or like Lodolo, who's more of a, maybe not finesse per se, but maybe not throwing it up there 100 miles an hour like Hunter Green, stacking that and kind of giving the batters a different look. Maybe even an Abbott, that left-handed precision pitcher versus that right-handed power of Chase Burns. I think I lean that way versus putting him in a high leverage situation role. But I think ultimately, as you've talked about before, once you get to the playoffs and even this weekend, you're game by game. You're managing every game to win it. And if that means that Chase Burns needs to give you 3 innings, then Chase Burns gives you 3 innings. If that means that Emilio Pagan needs a night off and Tony Santillan already threw because you used him in the high leverage 8th where he had to face 2, 3, 4 in the lineup, I absolutely have faith in going to Chase Burns to run 5, 6, 7 or 7, 8, 9 in the lineup for a close. Now, would I put him out there against the heart of the lineup in the 9th inning? I don't know that. But nonetheless, I do have faith in Chase Burns. And right now today, I can't tell you what I want to do because I'm going to manage every game and every situation differently based on how things are going. And so to pencil somebody into a specific role at this point is probably not the best way to manage this baseball team. Yeah, guys are going to want to know if they're going to be used or whatever. But at this point in the season, quite frankly, if you're not ready to go at the drop of a hat, then I don't want you on this baseball team anyway. So be ready. However we got to use you, we're going to use you. We saw today the reports that they've had conversation with Hunter Green about coming out of the bullpen on Sunday if they need him in Milwaukee. Those are the types of moves that are going to happen. We saw last night Clayton Kershaw comes out of the bullpen for the Dodgers because that's going to be his role come the playoffs. So no individual is too big for any role at this point in the season. You're trying to make the playoffs and you're trying to advance in the playoffs. Whatever needs to be done, you're going to Tito and saying, I'm your guy. I'm ready to go if you need me.
Yeah, and I see some comments about like putting pressure on Chase Burns as a rookie. Chase Burns is not your typical rookie. I mean, this guy's the number 2 pick in the draft, and there's been a lot of teams that have used guys they're going to be starters in these types of roles. I'm trying to think back of a more recent one. I know there's one I just can't go on, but like David Price, like the Tampa Bay Rays, he was a rookie. I mean, they literally threw him out there every chance they get. Like if you're a team like the Reds, you need the upside plays. Okay, you're not going to cute your way to advancing in the playoffs. Like, you have to take some shots. You have to be aggressive. And if it's 3 innings out of Chase Burns out of the bullpen, like, do it. And don't just go, we'll put Burns in the 7th and 8th and we'll go to our proven close in the 9th. If Burns is shoving for 2 innings, let him finish the game. That's more what I'm saying. The whole relying on rookies, Chase Burns doesn't apply to him because he's a different pitcher. And I'll end with this. If you're an opposing batter, who do you think you'd rather face in the 9th inning? That's the question that you should ask, and that's your answer.
I don't know how reliable, we had this conversation the other day. I don't know how reliable Google AI is sometimes, but just some quick examples of starters that were used in bullpen situations in high leverage innings later on. Not necessarily rookie year or anything, but Randy Johnson was used out of the bullpen in the playoffs. Madison Bumgarner, Steven Strasburg came out of the bullpen in playoff situations. And obviously Clayton Kershaw will do it this season and did last year. So, I mean, it's not unheard of. At the end of the day, I think it's a lot more pressure to put him into a starting role in a playoff situation and hoping that he can, rise to the occasion at Dodger Stadium with the crowd all in it versus coming into a later inning situation where maybe the Reds have a lead or you're hopeful that the Reds have a lead or whatever it may be. So at the end of the day, right now, you have some somewhat veteran arms on this team who are ready to start games in the playoffs. Chase Burns isn't going to be in that rotation right now. Like, it's just not going to happen. Maybe if he had pitched and started through the rest of the season and not gotten injured and sat down, maybe we'd be having a different conversation. But as it sits right now, Chase Burns is not going to start a game, especially in the first season or the first postseason series. So use him where you need him. And right now, where you need him is as a gunslinger out of the bullpen for me, at least. So I'm with you. I do want to, just as we finish up our conversation around pitching, I do want to obviously recognize Noelvi Marte with that phenomenal catch. I hope everybody saw Nick's reaction live to that as we were watching the 9th inning. He was ahead of me on the stream, but classic reaction. And then he got, I don't know that I've ever seen that face from Nick Kirby after we won that ball game, and how he looked legitimately like he was going to jump through this computer and like murder me. I don't know that I've ever seen that side of him, but Noelvi Marte, we've seen his arm on multiple occasions, but for him to make that kind of a play in the outfield and to see that reaction from him and his teammates was phenomenal. And you can only hope that that continues to give him confidence as he continues to learn the outfield and hopefully become your right fielder of the future. And if his offense can continue to improve, then, you significantly improve this lineup on a daily basis by having him out there and hopefully slugging some home runs for you too. But if he can provide you above average or even average defense, he becomes so valuable in that outfield role.
Noelvi Marte is such a confidence player that you just hope like that catch like really just kind of propels him. It's just what a play. I mean, and Marte, I was listening to the radio broadcast like I often do, and the Thrall and Cowboy had a pretty good conversation about how Marte has definitely improved defensively in right field throughout the course of the year. Now, I don't think he's an above average right fielder yet, but he is getting better. And people might say, oh, that was a lucky play. That is not a lucky play. The Reds, they practice those robbing the catches at the wall. Friedel does it. Those are not lucky plays. That is work. That is timing. That is all those sort of things. They practice that. So shout out to Noelvi Marte. He clearly was taking that practice that he does seriously to get himself in a position to, yes, the ball was hitting the right spot and all that, but he put himself in that position to make that catch. And shout out to the Reds' top of the lineup. We kind of poo-pooed on them last night. They had a great day. Friedel had 2 hits. Lux had 2 hits. Marte had 1 hit and a big catch. So shout out to those guys. Not shout out to J.R. House. The worst I would say the worst send I've ever seen. But we saw one worse in the Dodgers game last night. That one in the Dodgers game, and then they somehow still won that game, was one of the most atrocious. It was unfathomable that they sent him home on that. But J.R. House, I don't know what he was doing. There's 0 outs. And I just credited Thrall and Cowboy. they were defending J.R. House on that. And I'm like, what are you there's no one out. I'm like, well, the Reds are struggling to score runs. Who cares? There's no one out. When you're struggling to score runs, the last thing you can do is give away an out, right? And then sure enough, the next two batters rip hits off of them, which just made that send crazy. And the Friedel send, I don't know, it worked out, so it's hard to really, that's it. It didn't seem very, very smart either. So J.R. House figured out, brother, because that could have really cost the Reds. I just don't think he's very good at third base. I don't think he's as bad as he maybe once was, but man, I don't think he's very good.
Yeah, for those of you that missed it last night in the Dodgers game, it was in the top of the 10th inning. Shohei led off the inning by striking out swinging. And keep in mind, it's the 10th inning, so you've got the Manfred man on second base. Well, Mookie Betts lined a hard, and I mean a hard line drive to right field, 100 mile an hour off the bat, 199 feet, that landed in front of Corbin Carroll and basically like bounced right to him. And Corbin Carroll has a plus arm in right field. Hai-Sung Kim was running and was out by 8 feet at home plate. And like, it wasn't even close. And to top it off, again, Mookie Betts was the one that got the hit. Freddie Freeman. And so you're talking about having Freddie Freeman, one of the most professional hitters in all of Major League Baseball, potentially coming up to the plate with one out and a man on third in an extra inning situation. And instead, Freddie Freeman's coming up with 2 outs and a man on first base. So much different situation. Freddie ultimately strikes out, but again, his approach is much different in that situation. And luckily for the Reds and for J.R. House, in that situation, the rest of the lineup picked him up and was able to bring home the run. But imagine that this game is 2-1 and Noelvi Marte doesn't save that home run, and now it's 2-2 instead of what could have been 3-2 because of that out at home plate. Luckily, like I said, the Reds, they pick it up, and Gavin Lux picks up the hit to bring in Noelvi, and Marte singled to bring home Friedel. So luckily it worked out, but I mean, that was not a good save. The shortstop had the ball as Brian Hayes was rounding third base. Like, it was a brutal send. But nonetheless, as you mentioned, some clutch hits. The Reds, unfortunately, don't typically get a lot of opportunities. They were 2 for 5 today with runners in scoring position, which only 5 opportunities is crazy, but at least you came up with a hit in a couple of them.
And shout out to Brian Hayes, had the hardest hit ball of the day today at 105.4 off the bat, had 2 hits today. So that's really good to see, because there's clearly, if Brian Hayes is hitting a little bit, he's the Reds' best option at third base. Could just make plays that no one else can make. And in playoff games where every run is so precious, he can stop a lot of them as well. So really good to see him swinging the bat well. That was great to see.
Yeah, and I said in text messages that I was going to play devil's advocate to this whole sending conversation, but truth of the matter is it was a terrible send. But potentially in J.R. House's mind was in the third inning when they were in similar situation. Brian Hayes singled, TJ Friedel walked to lead off the inning. So they had men on first and second with nobody out. Well, then Noelvi Marte strikes out, then Gavin Lux strikeouts, and then Spencer Steer grounds out to end the inning without anyone getting past second base. So maybe J.R. House had that in the back of his mind, that he didn't have faith in his guys to come through in the clutch, but I'm glad that they did in this situation. And ultimately it did play off in their benefit. Go ahead.
Well, J.R. House, I don't have faith in you to come through in the clutch, brother.
You mentioned the top of the lineup getting things done today, Nick. Most of the bottom of the lineup also came through clutch. Miguel Andujar 2 for 4 today. Will Benson had a hit. Brian Hayes 2 for 3. The guy that didn't have a hit in the bottom of the lineup, though, was Jose Trevino. Obviously, last night, Tyler Stevenson went, 4 for 5 with a double and a home run. Not in the lineup today. I pulled this quote in, Nick, that I want to get your opinion on Terry Francona before the game today was asked about that, and his quote was, "He just caught 11 innings. I don't know what you're going to get the same player back. 2, you're pigeonholed into not being able to do anything with Trevino." He's talking about if Stevenson DH'd instead of caught. I get your point. He swung the bat really well. I don't know if you're going to get that same player. There's a reason catchers don't do that. Nick, I got to be honest with you. If you can't, I just talked about it with the pitchers and being ready to go at any situation and managing it like this is the end of the season. If Tyler Stevenson can't catch a day game after a night game at all, like, we're going to have a big issue here, and he can't be your catcher of the future, because I'm watching Cal Raleigh hit 60 home runs in a season, and he's alternating between catcher and DH. He can get it done. Like, certainly if the Reds feel so inflexible because they don't have another catcher, so be it. But figure it out. You can't take Tyler Stevenson's bat out of the lineup at this point in the season after he just went 4 for 5 the night before.
Yeah, I would hope that a tired, exhausted Tyler Stevenson from playing his one game this week could maybe out-hit Jose Trevino, who entering today, before he went 0 for 3, hitting a .183 with a .216 on-base percentage, a .212 slugging. That is a .428 OPS since the All-Star break. A .428 OPS against the All-Star break, and we're worried about Tyler Stevenson being a little bit tired. I mean, come on. Like, Stevenson missed half the year. He's fine. The only logical explanation, and maybe Tito is covering for it because he's trying to protect Stevenson, is the real explanation, and the only explanation that I would want to hear is we felt so much more confident that Nick Lodolo would be more comfortable with Jose Trevino behind the plate, and that's why we started him. That's the only thing I'll listen to, and I understand, obviously, Tito can't say that in a post-game press conference, although he does like to throw certain players under the bus. He couldn't say that one, but like that's insanity to me. Like, and Jose Trevino has been atrocious at the plate in the second half. So the only reason you would ever play him is the defense and the comfortability of the pitcher.
Yeah, I don't really care. I mean, I get it, but then DH him. I mean, if you don't want to put him behind the plate, then that's fine. But, and again, Miguel Andujar was 2 for 4 today. He had the 2 hits. That's fine. But, like, he's been banged up too. So are you getting a better Miguel Andujar who's been banged up, or Tyler Stevenson who caught the night before? Like, either way, you're allegedly getting a less than player. So which one is better, a less than Miguel Andujar or a less than Tyler Stevenson who went 4 for 5 the night before? I don't know. Just unfortunate, and again, just one of those situations where you kind of question things. And speaking of questioning things, Nick, I've got one more quote for you. This one from last night's starter, Hunter Greene. Now, Hunter Greene didn't talk to the media last night after his game, after his performance, but he did give the media availability today before today's game. And he was talking about last night and said, quote, "I feel like there's moments I was obviously frustrated last night, and moments where we got to be able to capitalize in certain situations. That momentum was on our side. Got to capitalize. That's where a lot of success happens in the game. I feel like there were opportunities for that. We haven't been able to do that. So I feel like it's kind of put us in a tough position here at the end. Obviously, so optimistic, but I think if we were to handle some other situations that we had the momentum on our side, we'd be in a different position." Now, the Reds got some clutch hits today, Nick, but how do you feel about your ace going out and, without naming names, kind of throwing your offense under the bus a little bit?
I didn't even see that one. I thought you were going to bring up the quote about how he was not even basically told that they weren't considering starting him on Tuesday. I didn't even see that one. Yeah, there's clearly something going on with Hunter Greene and the Reds, and I don't know how far the Reds extend. I don't know if it's just Francona. I don't know if it's Francona and Johnson. I don't know if it's more than that. But when the MLB.com writer basically writes Hunter Greene needs to be a better leader, and some of the quotes and things you've heard in the way Tito's addressed things, there's clearly some issue with the Reds and Greene. I would say for everyone's sake, suck it up. You need Hunter Green. This team isn't worth a damn without Hunter Green going forward. I don't really love Hunter Green kind of making those comments, but Green's defense, if he's kind of not being treated well by the organization, which in some ways, yeah, I mean, like, I agree. I think Green's comments probably come from being called out for not being a leader, right? I mean, like, it feels very possible those are intertwined. So I don't know the full details of it, but there's definitely something going on there, and it's not good for really anyone.
Yeah, I mean, it makes you wonder, what kind of conversations are happening in the clubhouse. I mean, certainly, if you're to the point where you're comfortable saying that in the media, I would hope that it's been addressed multiple times in the clubhouse beforehand. And I know that we kind of joke at the Miami Dolphins for their player-only meetings and all those stuff, but at the end of the day, leaders in a baseball clubhouse have hard conversations. It doesn't necessarily have to be a players-only meeting, but at the end of the day, you can still have the tough conversations. And this Reds offense clearly has not lived up to the level of expectations, and certainly not up to the level of performance as this pitching staff has most of the year. But, oh, by the way, Hunter Green, you're under team control for the next 5 years. So, like, 4 years, whatever, through 2029. Like, you're going to be there. So, whether it's with Derek, which I find hard to believe given the fact that him and Derek have had a relationship for so long at this point, or Tito, or the front office, or just other players in the clubhouse. I don't know. I guess at this point, I'm glad that he didn't talk to the media last night and share whatever his thoughts were at that point. But nonetheless, probably not ideal to have your number one pitcher out in the media talking about how you're not able to take advantage of momentum and missing out on missed opportunities. I feel like that's more our job, Nick, to talk about those things. But yeah, I saw that quote today and I had to bring it in. And luckily, like I said, the Reds got a couple of clutch hits today, but even still, they scored 2 runs again, and this team has not offensively performed nearly to the level that you would hope. And a couple of guys have been solid and have kind of, put you in good positions, but there's too many holes in this lineup up and down, and too many guys that, we saw it last night, that when they come up to bat in key moments, you just have absolutely zero faith.
Feels like there's a lot of passive aggressiveness with the whole Green situation. I bet there's not really been conversations. I think there's just been a lot of little, maybe subtle jabs here and there. The thing that just kind of irks me was the other comments where basically he was not involved at all in the thought process for, the situation where he could have started on Tuesday and then been able to start again on Sunday. And even if, like, you just say, hey, we're making this decision, we feel like this is best, it feels like it probably been a situation that was communicated to Hunter Green. Hey, we feel this is best, and this is why. Because, like, why were they not prepared that they were going to be asked about this? Like, it seems like a pretty obvious thing. Like, if you're, the PR department or whoever, hey, Hunter, you're probably going to be asked about this. Let's make sure that we're clear on why we're doing this, and that Francona, that Derek Johnson, and Hunter Green are all on the same page. Like, it should be a united front. It just feels like there's something going on there that they're not a united front on. And somehow Hunter Green still pitched very well, and it hasn't really bled in at all to that. But it feels like something that should have been communicated very well to Hunter Green, and this is why we're doing this. So he knew that. So because it was obvious he was going to get asked about this. This is going to be the biggest point of discussion, especially after they lost the game on Tuesday. So the fact that there was no communication, that's just, it's not a great look. And then on top of that, now the fact that we're going to consider throwing Hunter Green on 3 days rest on Sunday. Like, what is that about? Like, you couldn't move him up on Tuesday, and now you want to pitch him on 3 days rest when we've proven for years that pitchers on 3 days rest are not as effective. Even some of the best pitchers on the planet that have tried to go on 3 days rest have failed more often than not. So that whole thing's just crazy. I just hope we're able to move past it. You get into the playoffs, everyone loves each other again, no matter what. So I hope that's the case, but there's definitely something more going on here.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how it plays out, and certainly you need Hunter Green to be happy, and you want him to be performing at the top of his abilities here for this Reds team, especially down the stretch here. I mean, obviously he should have had another start this season, or at least been lined up to potentially make another start if he was needed this season. But I mean, if you make the playoffs, he's gonna pitch game 1 at this point, unless you use him on Sunday. Which, let's talk about that, Nick. Like, okay, you didn't want to push him up to Tuesday's game because you just didn't, like, and then you're going to turn around and put him on 3 days rest and then not have him available for the first round of the playoffs. Like,
not even starting on a
like,
minimal effect on Sunday. Yeah. And the whole thing, it seems like it stemmed from the fact that the Reds were upset that Green didn't come back quicker from the IL. Well, now you have an opportunity to make up one of those starts by starting the game on Tuesday, and you don't even consider it. Like, that's where I don't understand the mindset here. It feels like there's been so many walking contradictions. I mean, like, there's one thing said, and then it's like, well, this other thing doesn't make any sense. Like, I don't know. 81-78, still alive going to the final weekend. But there are some things that do not make sense to me.
Yeah. I don't get it. I don't understand it, but it is what it is, and hopefully they'll figure it out. And you know what? I think there's a lot of people who would like to see the Reds move on from Terry Francona this offseason. I think if Terry Francona is not the manager of the Cincinnati Reds in 2026, it's because Terry Francona has made that decision, not the Cincinnati Reds. I don't see a world where the Cincinnati Reds part ways with Terry. So Hunter's going to either need to have a sit down with Terry and figure out what's going on, have that conversation, and kind of man to man figure out what's going on. But to go to the media about it is interesting. And to admit that you weren't part of that conversation versus what we heard again. I'm not trying to compare apples to oranges or whatever, but the Dodgers have kind of become the measuring stick for organizations, right? And last night, Clayton Kershaw comes in relief. And what do the announcers talk about? Clayton Kershaw went to Dave Roberts and said, hey, I can see how things are going. I'm not going to be starting in the playoffs. Let me get a couple relief appearances before we get to the playoffs to make sure that I get any, cobwebs out of the way, and that I'm good to go for the playoffs so I can be as best as I can be for you when you need me in that role. Like, Hunter Green could have easily gone to Terry Francona if they had that kind of a relationship and said, hey, look, Terry, I just pitched. I know I went 9 innings, complete game, gave it my all, but this is the freaking stretch of the season and we're in a playoff run. I'm ready to go if you want me to on Tuesday. And I'm ready to go. Instead of, well, I wasn't part of those conversations. That wasn't up to me. Those conversations were all Tito and DJ and that staff. Part of it has to fall on Hunter Green too, to at some point step up and be that leader and be the man that comes in and takes control of those situations. Because Tito and DJ and the pitching staff made that decision, but probably because Hunter Green didn't come to them and say, hey, look, let's freaking do this. Let's give me 2 more starts and I'll get us to the playoffs. Regardless of what happens, I'm getting us there. I'm the ace of this staff. Put me on your back. I'm ready to go.
I'm with you on that.
All right. Any final thoughts on today's win over the Pirates, Nick?
No, just big win. Right. I mean, we'll all be glued at 7:40 tonight and hope that our Cubbies can get it done. No,
reads in the chat, so I know he loves hearing that.
Our Cubbies.
Want to remind you, as always, that you can call or text 988 anytime, day or night. The 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is a place to get support for anything related to mental health, whether it's an immediate crisis, simply wanting to find out how to connect with care, or anything in between. It's a 100% confidential, secure, and anonymous way to reach out for help when you don't know where else to turn. To connect, call or text 988 or visit mantherapy.org to get help. It's okay not to be okay. And Nick, we got plenty of super chats to get through on this great Thursday evening. Trail Mix fan, $5 super chat said, the Craig magic is here. All love, boys. Let's keep going. How about Marte? That's going to be a little bit of a theme that you're going to hear here, Nick. Molly, I don't know the last time I saw Molly chime in with a super chat, Nick. Have you
it's
ever
a big
seen
game.
Molly
You
chime
know
in
it's
with
a big
super
game.
chat? You know it's big when Molly chimes in. She said, Marte is a smarte. Shout out to Noel V. Marte from Molly. Putrid Talent said, I watched Nick's reaction 5 times, LOL. Clip it. I can 100% guarantee you that this reaction in the last 2 outs will be on social media from Nick at some point later today. DK, our big C Viking guy. Hate to say this, but go Cubs, go. Go Cubs, go. Hey, Chicago,
what do you say? Better flip and win today. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Go Cubs. Reed, we're cheering with you. Vandy81, 3 more wins to go. Nick, realistically, at this point, you've seen what everybody else is doing. I know we can sit here and say we got to win all 3. What's it going to take for the Reds to get into the playoffs?
I'd say the most realistic is probably 2. I mean, that would be Mets 2-2, right? That seems like,
assuming they lose tonight. Yeah.
Well, I mean, no, they have 4, you have 3, so Reds would win 2 of 3. Mets go 2-4. Either it's tonight or they lose 2 of 3 to the Marlins. That's probably, but I mean, the Mets are anyone's guess. And I have some thoughts when we get to up next about the different series. I have a couple just things to kind of some thoughts on them that I'll run through.
Wow. Not a super chat, but Troy Sparks just pulled the trigger on 2025 NLDS home game 1 upper view level.
All right.
That is bold.
What would that be?
Ned Flanders.
Like 2 weeks? 2 weeks?
Yeah, I don't know. Ned Flanders went to the game, saw my life pass before me, but Noel V. Marte met me at the gates and sent me back. Never in doubt. Ned, also heard you met our guy Mike Hart at the game today. He made sure he sent us a text message and let us know that you met him and that you were awesome. So appreciate the support. Appreciate you tuning in on your drive home. And William Wright, that Marte catch was unreal. Wow. Yes, it was unreal, and Nick ruined it for me. But we'll crop me out and put Nick's reaction with the Marte catch on social media later today, I'm sure. All right, Nick, we mentioned it. 3 more to go. Diamondbacks currently trailing the LA Dodgers 8-0 in the bottom of the 6th. Yoshinobu Yamamoto still on the mound for the Dodgers. 81 pitches into his performance in that one. Let me just check real quick and give you some more info on that. 5 1/3. Diamondbacks have 3 hits at this point. So Yoshinobu Yamamoto, 5 1/3, 3 hits, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts.
Diamondbacks skipping Zach Gallen today too. Went with a bullpen game, and it's not worked out well for them.
Yeah, sent it in the Discord when I saw it announced that they went with, I think, Jalen Beeks as the opener. He went 1 inning, 1 hit, 1 run. And then they went to Nizbol Krismat.
Wasn't he on the Padres?
Nabil Krismat. He's been everywhere, Nick. We talked about him when we faced the Diamondbacks earlier because he had a career outing against the Cincinnati Reds somehow. A career journeyman comes in and goes 4 innings of 4-hit, no-run baseball against the Cincinnati Reds.
Well, you know what?
August,
this is 3D chess, 4D chess, Craig, because that start gave them confidence that he could pitch today. And so you know what? The Reds offense got the job done today in the form of Nizbel, Nabel, Nismal, Krismat getting
Nabil Crismatt. Yeah, started his career with St. Louis, then was with San Diego for 2+ years. Then Arizona at the end of 2023, then to the Dodgers for a brief in 2024, and now with Arizona again. 3-0 with a 3.71 ERA, but I said it in the Discord. I said he is not as good as the Reds made him look, and in fact, he was not. 3 innings, 7 hits, 7 runs, 5 of them earned, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts, 3 home runs for Crismatt. Pope came in, 2 innings, 2 hits, no runs so far for him. But for the Dodgers, a lot of stuff. Freddie Freeman with the home run, Andy Pages with the home run, Shohei Ohtani with his 54th home run of the season. Add it all up, 10 hits, 8 runs, 8-0 lead for the D-backs. But assuming that score holds up, the Reds still have to take care of their business, and it starts tomorrow night in Milwaukee.
Yeah, Reds have only lost 13 consecutive series to the Milwaukee Brewers. Last series win back on the 2022 Cincinnati Reds. They won a series in Milwaukee. Unbelievable. Reds 17-44 in their last 61 games against the Brewers, 3-7 so far in 2025. Brewers currently tied for their franchise record in wins, something that I think is important. They're at 96. So the Brewers can clinch the number 1 overall seed with a Marlins loss, with a Phillies loss to the Marlins. They play at 6:00 tonight. So if that happens, the Brewers have nothing to play for, but they are going to probably want to get that 97th win and set a franchise record. I would assume that's probably something that is pretty important to this team. The Brewers' postseason rotation is not set at all. That's still in question. Their MLB writer reported Freddie Peralta would be their number 1 starter, and that's pretty much assured. Quinn Priester, number 2, and then after that, Jose Quintana might be number 3, but he's currently on the IL. So that's certainly something in flux. So for this series, the Brewers have only announced Friday. They have Quinn Priester going. Saturday and Sunday are TBD. I have to think, Craig, that Freddie Peralta, who pitched last on Monday, pitches at some point this weekend because they don't play again until next Saturday. So that's a whole 6 days off. So maybe they play him on Saturday, then he has a pitch him on Saturday, and then he has a week of rest, but it would probably be an abbreviated start, like 3 or 4 innings. They're probably not going to push him, would be my guess. And then Mizorowski, they've said they're not putting him in the rotation for the NLDS, but they're probably going to put him in the bullpen, so he'll probably be a factor at some point. So that's going to be all in flux. But right now, the only thing that matters is the game on Friday at 8:10, Zach Littell against Quinn Priester. Quinn Priester is having an unbelievable year, 13-2, 3.28 ERA. The Brewers have won 19 consecutive games when he's pitched. They've won 12 consecutive decisions. Brewers franchise record. He's allowed 2 runs or less in 11 of his last 12 starts. Struck out 10 batters his last time out, and he's only allowed 1 home run in his last 5 starts. So, I don't know how deep he's going to go into this game. He figures to be a part of their postseason rotation, but again, he's going to have over a week off. So it'll be interesting to kind of see what they do with him. Priester's just another one of those Brewers reclamation projects. Pirates gave up on him. Red Sox gave up on him. And here he is dominating with the Brewers' former first-round pick. He's got a 2.76 career ERA in 3 games against the Reds. 2 of those starts this year, 1-0 with a 2.61 ERA. Steer, Friedel, and Brian Hayes do all have home runs against him. For the Reds, Zach Littell overall has struggled, 5.52 ERA, even a worse FIP over his last 6 starts, allowed 9 home runs in his last 31 innings. On a positive note, though, last start did only allow 2 runs over 5 innings against the Cubs, and he was brilliant. His only start in a Reds uniform against the Brewers back on August 16th at Great American Ballpark, 6 innings, just 1 run, and did not allow a home run in that one. And Littell overall a career 1.17 ERA in 21 innings against the Brewers. Most of that is in relief, and the active Brewers are just 12 for 52, 231 average, and 0 home runs. Yelich 2 for 8, Contreras 2 for 8. Churio is 2 for 3. So Craig, it's just an interesting weekend. There's so many factors that go into everything. What's the Brewers' motivation? Who are they pitching? How deep are they pitching? No one has any guess on that. You look at the Mets. Obviously, the Mets tonight, Noah McLean, that's the guy they need him to win tonight because they're pitching over the weekend. They have Sprout on Friday, Mania Holmes on Saturday, and Peterson on Sunday. Their pitching is in a bad spot. But the Marlins, how motivated are the Marlins this weekend? Because the Marlins could be eliminated from the playoffs tonight. If they lose, they are also eliminated from finishing 500. So they don't even have that trying to finish 81-81 carrot ahead of them. The Marlins move their rotation around. Alcantara, Yuri Perez, and Edward Cabrera Friday, Saturday, Sunday against the Mets. But are they keeping all those guys if they get eliminated? They just move them there because they thought they still had a chance. Remember, they were chasing the Mets. If you sweep the Mets, you could have picked up 3 games, and they were maybe hoping that the Reds and the Diamondbacks would fall further back behind the pack. But again, how motivated is the Marlins? And then in the Diamondbacks case, that's why this game I think is really huge. I mean, the San Diego Padres, they probably are going to be eliminated from a home field series either in the next couple days. How motivated are they this weekend? Because they may have nothing to play for. And right now, their rotation shakes out Saturday and Sunday as Michael King and Nick Pivetta spots in the rotation. But there's no way they're going to pitch them on Saturday and Sunday because they have to pitch on Tuesday and Wednesday in the playoffs. So there's a lot of factors. I mean, the biggest thing the Reds can do is just keep winning, and hopefully you get one loss out of the Mets. I mean, I think if the Mets go 4-0 and you Reds go 3-0, you just tip your cap to the Mets and say, congrats on finally figuring it out with 4 games left in the season. But it's going to be an interesting weekend with so many dynamics at play, and who knows who's motivated to play any of these opponents.
Well, the one thing that we know for sure, Nick, is that these Cincinnati Reds should be motivated, and that's really all you can control, right? You said it there at the end. If you go 3-0 and the Mets find a way to go 4-0 over the last 4, then yeah, you tip your cap. They gave us a lot of opportunities. Quite frankly, we probably don't even deserve to be in the situation we're in today, but we are. And so the Reds are going to be motivated. Friday night, 8:10 first pitch. Saturday, 7:10 first pitch. And then Sunday, 3:10 first pitch. You've got Abbott going on Saturday and Singer going on Sunday. 2 guys who have been bell cows for you this season. And bell cow, football like term. And on Sunday, I know normal Sunday is 9 p.m., but Trace and Nick will be live in the 9th inning for that one. Regardless of how things go between now and then.
Or the full game. Or
maybe the full game.
If it matters, we'll be live.
It won't be 9 p.m. It won't be 9 p.m. So be ready to join us for that. I think Trace went to the game today, so sounds like he got a good game to go to, and Mike did as well. But, the whole crew will be here to figure it out and take you through these last 3 games. And we're excited for it. And, I don't want to speak for everybody, but how could you not be excited for it at this point? And look, outside of Littell, who's been kind of up and down, Abbott and Singer have been steady all year long. They've given you good outings repetitively, and they put you in place to win ball games. And I guess if you're going to ask one thing from Littell, it's that you're going to Milwaukee, and, he's a lot better on the road than he is in Great American Ballpark. So hopefully that holds up as well. And we're able to pick up multiple wins there against the Brewers.
Yeah. Final thought for me is we will try at some point. I don't know which of us, if the game is interesting tonight, we'll go live towards the end of that game and ride out the end of the Mets-Cubs game. Now, if the Mets are up a bunch of runs, we're not going to go live. But yeah, as always, subscribe to Chatterbox Sports on YouTube. Hit the bell in the top right corner so you're notified anytime we go live, and then you'll be notified if we do go live. And one other interesting note is today's the last day where the Reds are the team that plays first. All this week, the Reds have been the team that's played about an hour before the Mets. And so if they've taken the lead or been behind, the Mets have been aware of that when they take the field. Well, it's the opposite. Now the Mets today know that the Mets know that the Reds already won, so there's more pressure on them. But it flips. The Mets will be playing an hour before the Reds on Friday. So when the Reds take the field in Milwaukee, they'll know where things stand. And then on Saturday, the Reds will be 3 hours after the Mets, so the game will probably be close to completion by the time the Reds take the field. And Sunday, everyone plays at the same time. So a little bit of a different dynamic. I think it definitely favors the team that plays first if you take the lead. But if you're a team that falls behind, it favors the team that plays second. So that's what kind of does make some of these early innings a little more interesting, because I do think there can actually be some sort of cause and effect in terms of how the players feel about the game going into it, if they see a positive result on the scoreboard or a negative thing.
Yep, and we are just about 2 hours away from first pitch in Chicago with the Cubs and the Mets. Again, that game on MLB Network tonight. So make sure you tune in and check that one out. It'll be McLean versus Imanaga. So good pitching matchup. Noah McLean, 1.27 ERA so far. Imanaga, as we know, prone to give up home runs, but 3.37.
Please tell me the wind's
ERA.
blowing in. Is the wind blowing in tonight?
I don't know. What does ballpark say?
I don't know. I'm trying to look it up.
You trying to get to ballpark factor? All right. Well,
there's another. Doesn't look like we have a lot of crazy wind tonight. Looks like a pretty low. Ooh, it looks like slightly blowing out, but not crazy. I know I'm on the wrong one. I'm on the wrong one. Slightly blowing in. Well, it's like blowing in and out. I don't think it's much of a factor tonight.
Classic swirling winds of Wrigley Field.
Yeah, like one's going this way, one's going this way.
Yeah. Perfect. Exactly what you'd expect from Chicago. But again, make sure you check out our social media, follow along there. We will be sure to post if and when we go live, and then be sure to like and subscribe. Like the stream if you haven't already for us. Chatterbox Bengals will be live Monday night, but again, the Bengals play on Monday, so Sunday belongs to the Reds, and what a big game it potentially could be. Until then, for Nick Kirby, I'm Craig Sandlin. This has been Chatterbox Reds. We appreciate you all. We'll see you soon.